Hey everybody, so I just got two cameras working at one time on here, and so I thought I would do a couple of videos that I had planned on doing for a while. So let's start out with this one. This is a Dell Latitude E6330. So it's a 14-inch Latitude, which Latitudes are their business laptops, and the nice thing about them is they tend to be cheap when they're off lease. So like at first they're expensive, but this one is like 7 years old. This one's kind of too old. But even ones that are just 2 or 3 years old, they get really inexpensive after a short period of time. And yet they're really easy to work on. They hold their value for a while. Once they sort of get down to their low point, they stay there. And you can usually change out everything in them because these are made for like business people and stuff. But the 6340 is a 14-inch. I think the E stands for enterprise, but I'm not sure. 6 is Dell's 6th generation, I believe, of Latitudes. 14-inch, it might be 6430. 14 inches where the 4 comes from, and then the 3 is because it uses a 3rd gen Intel Core processor. So that's where the part name comes from. So like there's a 6530, which is a 15-inch with a 3rd gen. There's a 6520, 15-inch with a 2nd gen, and so on. So anyways, I'm just going to open it up and point out some things, a couple of simple things for people who are not familiar with laptops or are interested in taking their own apart or whatever. And this doesn't only apply to Dells, it applies to a lot of other laptops, especially those around the mid 2010s, because a lot of these big chunky ones have similar internals, even similar layouts, and this one is one where a lot of things are replaceable and repairable, at least for major components or subcomponents, whereas a lot of newer laptops, and I've got another one that I may show in a different video, things like the processor, the memory, the hard drive are all soldered in. With this one, those things are replaceable, which is awesome, because when something fails, you can replace it. So anyways, to start off, you need to unplug the laptop because you don't want power going to it, and for that matter you need to pop out the battery. Now this has an external replaceable battery. It's a good idea to put your name on the inside of your stuff as well in case somebody steals it, you can identify it later. These are replaceable. Some of these batteries actually stick out past the end of the laptop if you get ones with more cells. I'm not going to take this apart, but basically inside of here there are, I believe, 6 lithium-ion cells. And they're kind of like AA batteries, but larger and lithium-ion. And so these are common. I mean, this is a 60 watt-hour. It's dead. It only holds a charge for like half an hour. But I don't care. I just always carry a power plug with it. This right here is for the port replicator or docking station. I don't know what they're called now. Where you would come home and plug this in, and your docking station will be connected to monitor, keyboard, mouse, whatever else. And so you can bring the laptop and just plug it in and then begin to use it from there. I don't have one of those. I'd like to get one someday maybe, but this thing's old enough that I probably won't. Next thing is, right here is the CD drive. You pop out this little thing and you can yank that out. Now, a lot of these will have a screw right around here that you need to take out, because a lot of them have connected to these 2 screws here, they have a little tab where once you insert this, it's actually screwed in so that it doesn't pop out. Luckily, this one is not that, so it's a little bit easier. The other nice thing is, since I personally never use a CD drive, I've replaced it with one of these, which these caddies you can buy for about 50 tele, so I don't know, probably $20 or something like that, $10. And it allows you to put an SSD or a hard drive in here. So normally what I would do is I would have this in here, all the way in, and I can run Mac OS on this Dell, I can run Linux, I can run Windows, I can swap, whatever. There's another main hard drive in here that is more permanent in that there's a couple of screws here. But I can use this one as like a secondary, so I can choose what I boot from. So anyways, we'll set those things aside. You'll need a couple of screwdrivers, probably a Phillips number 0, Phillips number 1, maybe a number 2. Depends on the make and model of your laptop and everything. So next, let's pop out the hard drive. It's just 2 screws. By the way, you should have something to hold all of your screws in so that they don't get lost. And you can see by the size of these, you'll want to be really gentle. You don't have to crank these things in. They're not holding together, you know, a skyscraper. They're just holding together some very lightweight computer parts, and they will strip. And you can strip the actual, you know, the heads of the screws. You can strip the screws themselves. You can break them off inside. So be careful. At any rate, once you got those 2 out in this Dell, you just pop this out. This is the internal SSD or hard drive, SATA interface, and then you can actually swap this as well. You can take out this 1 screw and take off this rubber part and swap it with, you know, another SSD or with a traditional hard drive or whatever. If you want to go from a hard drive to an SSD, this is the one you want to change because this one is permanently in there. I mean, it's screwed in anyways. The other one you would use if you have like something extra that you want to, either an extra disk for data or an extra operating system that you might use sometimes but you might not. So anyways, one thing to mention too, I have a little USB dongle here for a mouse. You should probably pop those out before you take anything apart as well, just to be on the safe side. So anyhow, on this one, there's only a couple of screws. Let's see. 1. Now on some computers, you've actually got to flip it over, open it up, and pop out the keyboard, because on some of these there are screws underneath the keyboard. The best thing to do is just check Google or check iFixit to see what you need to do to take the back cover off, or if you can even take the back cover off of your laptop, because a lot of them are different. But again, with these larger ones, especially 14 and 15 inch and 17 inch, and especially from the, I mean really even 2000 up to say 2015, but definitely the mid 20-aughts to 2010s, a lot of them are similar to this. So anyways, on this one we've got 1, 2, 3 screws, and then I believe, yeah, there are a couple of smaller ones in here. And you notice that there's a keyboard symbol here. That's what that little screen print is. These 2 you would normally take out, and you see that they're a bit longer than the others. You would pop these out if you need to get the keyboard out and replace it. But the important thing is just to remember what length of screw goes where if they are different, because that's pretty common. One other thing you'll notice here, these 2 keyboard ones, the longer ones, and these 3 shorter ones that I took out of the shell, all have this blue sort of Loctite type stuff on there. It's not Loctite, I don't think, but thread stuff to keep them in a little bit tighter, whereas these ones that went into the hard drive caddy don't. So just, you know, they're differences, so just mind those differences. Anyways, at that point we can pop it off. Now with this, you don't have to be super careful because this Dell is mostly magnesium, and that's why you see the MG there. Hang on, I'm gonna hold it like this real quick. It's a little bit awkward. There we go. A lot of these are plastic, but this one is magnesium. And then most of the frame in here is magnesium, and that's something that makes these Latitudes a little bit tougher than a lot of, you know, cheaper or non-enterprise laptops. So anyways, you can set that aside somewhere. There we go. So let's talk about the common stuff. Right here is the memory, and if you need to replace the memory, add memory, take memory out for some reason, there are these 2 little tabs, these 2 little metal tabs here. Basically, you just spread them out. So you do it both at once, and then this will spring up. And then just sort of wiggle it out. you can see there's a notch there in the memory, and that lines up with the notch there in the motherboard socket. So 1, 2, and in other words, you can't put them in upside down, they won't go. So I'm just going to pop them right back in because I don't need to change anything. I'm taking this apart just to mess around with the dual cameras and to show people what's on the inside. So when you go to put them back in, it doesn't take strength, but you want to make sure that they're firmly in there. So press down, like flat down on it with 2 fingers, and then rock it in. And you'll hear the 2 pins click when they pop in there. And you know, if you have issues or if you have like memory errors or something like that, when you go to boot it up, just pop off the back again, take them out and reseat them. Oftentimes, because there are on here, I believe 244 pins, if I'm not mistaken, sometimes these are in there just a little bit crooked or whatever. And just reinserting them, taking them out and reinserting them will oftentimes fix an issue that you're having. So there we go. Now on this Dell, as I mentioned, there's a whole bunch of extra stuff actually. To give you an idea here, this is where the SSD went, and you can actually see on the SSD, these are power pins and these are data. So, and they go right into this socket here, which is in the motherboard. And then the CD drive, or this extra hard drive, is SATA as well, but the pins are slightly different. It's still power and data, but the configuration is not exactly the same because, let me see here, you can see on the CD drive one, it's smaller, but it's the same, it's the same interface and everything. And so when you pop this in, it goes into here, which plugs into this little adapter thing, and then it's fully seated, and that's all it is. But what's nice is, of course, you can do this from the outside, whereas with this one, you've got to take out screws with the main one. So you can see there's a bunch of dust in here, but let me talk about a couple of the cards. So I actually have 2 wireless cards in here. There's one here and there's one there. Now this wireless card is a combination, you can't really see it, sorry. Yeah. This wireless card is a combination of wireless AC and Bluetooth. However, it does not work with, it works with Linux and Windows, but not with Mac. This one works with Linux, Windows, and Mac, but I only use it for Mac. Each of these only takes a couple of watts, so having 2 of them is a waste, but this Dell was made so that you could have one of them, and then one of them is typically used for, like, if you have a cell connection, if you have a cellular modem in there instead of one of these extra Wi-Fi cards. And so basically I had the spot for it, so I might as well use it. There's actually another slot right here as well, and I believe that one screws right there. However, I forget what the deal is with that. I think, I don't remember if that was for like a factory SSD, or maybe that one is for wireless WAN, or it may have been that when this device was made, you had Wi-Fi, cell, and then Bluetooth as a separate card. That might have been the situation. I'm not sure, but at any rate, you may have some empty ports on here, and if you've got something on yours and you want to try a different Wi-Fi card or a mini PCI Express solid-state disk or something, you can. Just try it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Anyways, all the blue you see is just the motherboard, right? So like, for instance, this is the power delivery for the CPU. The CPU is under here. Now this computer has a Core i7, which has integrated graphics, but it also has a separate NVIDIA card as well, a separate NVIDIA graphics card. And basically, when you take off these 4 screws, and then also these 2, actually I take that back. The graphics card, the graphics card chip and memory is under here. CPU is here, and I think this is the chipset chip. So my mistake, I believe the GPU is actually right under here. If you take out these 4 screws and these 2 screws, you can get this whole copper heatsink assembly off. And then you have the fan separate. And the reason I mentioned that, let me see if I can get the fan off, is this fan gets dusty, and this is really common. And underneath this little pad here, there's usually, this is by the way, like a radiator, like a car radiator, right here. And so the heat from chipset, the CPU, and the GPU conducts through the metal here, and then through these heat pipes, and then out to this radiator. And that basically, it's a phase change system. It works kind of like a home air conditioner does, in that they usually, I think, use alcohol, and then these pipes, these heat pipes, also have usually sintered metal or some kind of gauze in there. So what happens is the alcohol, normally sealed in here under vacuum, goes from liquid to gas. And when it does, it flows through these pipes, it fills these pipes, comes out to here. The fan blows air. Air sort of sucks in through here, and then into the fan. It blows it through here, and then it turns that gas back into liquid alcohol. And then that liquid alcohol is wicked back through here. And it's not like a circuit. It's both things are kind of happening at the same time. There's hot alcohol going one way while there's liquid alcohol going the other. Sometimes they use water. I'm not certain with this one. It depends on the volume and the temperatures that they're going to see and things like that. But so I won't say for sure it's alcohol. But because of that phase change, because of the latent heat of vaporization, you can lose a lot more energy than if you just had a piece of metal, let's say. And that's why these heat pipes are used in laptops especially, but certainly in desktops and all sorts of things. Let me see if I can get this fan off, because what happens is you get a bunch of dust in here, as you can see, and you get between the fan and this radiator, you get a piece of, it's almost like felt. It's like a carpet of dust and dirt. So as embarrassing as this may be to take it off, let me see if I can. You gotta be super careful, because as you can see, these screws are tiny as hell, and they will get lost down inside. And I hope I don't do that. But let's see. The other thing to note, obviously, since this is an electric fan, I'm not even sure I'm taking it apart correctly, to be honest with you. I might have to take the whole thing off. But since it's an electric fan, you can see it plugs in right there. If you're going to take the whole thing off, you've got to gently unplug that, and be really gentle, because those wires can pop out easily. Let me see here if this will get the fan out. It doesn't, but I can lift this up, and you kind of get a better feel for what that fan is. And you can also see, try and show you, if I can, you can see in there the other side of that radiator, and it just gets sort of gummed up with dust and stuff. Let me try and illustrate that to you, as gross as this is going to be. Let me see. That's kind of tough to get out, but that's a spot. Usually you wouldn't have this piece of copper here. Usually the fan would come out all as one piece, but I expect I would have to take the whole thing off. But at any rate, getting the dust out of here can help out with cooling. And actually, just getting the dust out of the fan can help as well. It's not too bad right now, so I'm not going to stress about it. But you do also have to be careful, because if you break those little blades on that little tiny fan, you can ruin the whole thing, because the fan will be off balance, it will get more dust that sticks in it, and so you don't want to go at it with a brush or anything. Basically get some canned air, or even just blow in the damn thing, and that usually cleans it out well enough. And again, This setup is actually pretty well open, but a lot of them have a separate fan that's set down in here that comes out in a case. And what you'll find is right here, a big chunk of lint and hair and dust and just nasty crap in there. This design's a little bit better because, I'm gonna say, it looks like the fan is part of the heatsink and is mounted right into it. So there's a little bit of extra space, and that makes it a little bit tougher for the dust to stick. There's one other main, real big thing that you can do actually, and I'm not going to do it. But if you do pop off these 6 screws, take out the whole assembly, when you do it, you'll notice there's some paste here and here. It kind of looks like toothpaste or something. It's kind of sticky, and sometimes it gets dried out. If you clean off the fan and blow out this radiator so that you can see light through it, and take some rubbing alcohol and clean that toothpaste type stuff off of here and off of here, and there's probably a little bit on there, you can replace it with thermal paste. The reason I'm not going to take this off and show you is because I just don't have any. I don't have enough to replace it. But oftentimes just doing that will take a laptop, and where this fan is running at 100% all the time and is super noisy and loud, and the thing still runs really hot, or if it's the type of laptop where like it gets so hot you have to have it on a desk, you can't actually use it on your lap. Cleaning out this fan, the dust that builds up in here, and replacing that thermal paste usually will take care of that, unless you've got a software problem like malware or ransomware, in which case you got to get rid of that because it's just killing your CPU. But yeah, what's nice about ones like this is I can change the processor. That's what that little screw is there. If I pop off this heatsink fan, I can turn that screw 90 degrees and actually replace the processor. It's not soldered in. I can replace or add memory, though I'm at 16 gigabytes here, and I don't think that I could go to 32. I think 16 is the max right now, with 2 8 gig sticks. I think the only way for DDR3 memory to go up to 32 is if it were ECC, and this is not. You can replace the Wi-Fi cards. You can replace the real-time clock battery. So if when you turn on your laptop or your computer, it says that the time is wrong, that means that your real-time clock battery is probably bad. Sometimes it's a bad capacitor on a motherboard or something, but changing this battery usually fixes it. And I can replace the hard drive and the CD drive and swap the CD drive for a hard drive and replace the battery. So the nice thing about this old clunky laptop is everything is replaceable, and it works just like it was when it was, like it did when it was brand new, except for the battery not holding a charge for long, which I just don't care. This CPU is a 4-core 8-thread. I think it goes up to 2.7 gigahertz or something, which for the time it was the fastest laptop, or one of the fastest laptop CPUs you could get. And honestly, this laptop from 2013, 2014 will still outshine some of the newer Macs. Not the M1 Macs, but some of the, from 2019, 2020, lower end, like MacBooks, MacBook Pros, whatever, because it's just good hardware. Granted, it's not elegant, it's not pretty, but who cares? I guess, I don't know, rich people who have more money than they know what to do with care, but when your objective of owning a laptop is to get work done, this type of thing is just way better than something like that that's glued together. So anyways, that's the bulk of what I was going to go over. One thing I'll say, I was doing this on a friend's laptop the other day. She had an issue where she had plugged in headphones and or speakers, and when she did, there was some sort of a static power surge or something happened, and it shocked her computer. It immediately turned it off, but she never got that puff of smoke. She never had that electrical smell, so she didn't think she had ruined it. And I honestly didn't know what the hell had happened, so I basically took the back off, took the battery out, unplugged it, and then popped that real-time clock battery out. And what that does, if you pop this out and leave it out for 15 seconds, and then put it back in, close it back up, it will reset the BIOS to the factory default settings. And I think what happened with hers was that there was some sort of a almost like a circuit breaker, but in the BIOS, like in software. And she couldn't even turn it on. Like when you turned it on, you get no display. She couldn't turn it on to even get to the BIOS to see what was happening or to see the information. It would appear to turn on but not work. Clearing the BIOS fixed it, and the only way to do that was to open it up and take out the battery and unplug it and take out the large battery as well. And then it was fixed. That was it. So anyways, I will put this thing back together quickly. The idea wasn't to go over like everything, but just to give like a brief overview, because this stuff is super simple. It's like Legos, more or less. So when folks say, oh, I'm not technical, I can't do blah, 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 I just kind of always think like bullshit, just try it. Especially if it's an older laptop, because you can't hurt it. If it's already broken, especially. You know, if it's a brand new thing, then, you know, go and get the warranty and get it replaced professionally. But if you've got a laptop from 2015, 2017, and it's outside of its warranty, and it appears to not be working, well then just see what you can do, because usually you can fix them. Especially if they're somewhere between 5 and 10 years old, and they're in this era, and at the same time, you can oftentimes, you know, improve them as well by swapping out things like the memory and like the hard drive, changing hard drives for SSDs, and changing out the CPU. Again, you can upgrade the Wi-Fi card and so on. So yeah, that's about all I got for this one. I just mostly wanted to play around because I have an extra camera hooked up now, and I will probably do more videos like this. If you already knew all of this stuff before you began, then why would you have watched this video at all? That's on you, that's your fault. And hopefully, other folks learned a thing or two. And if nothing else, got the courage to open up their own laptop, because it really is not rocket science, or brain surgery, or rocket surgery even. It's basically just Legos. One last quick thing I'll say. If you're looking for an inexpensive desktop replacement laptop, like you know, a laptop that can replace a desktop, these things are going for like, I don't know, I think $250. And you might want to then replace the SSD or bump up the memory or whatever. But it's kind of awesome because, well, let me see if I can show it. I'll show it to you upside down. This is a Dell that runs Apple without a problem. This is 10.12. I think some people have gotten it to run 10.15, 10.13, others, but it runs 10.12 without a problem. Well, without many problems, I should say. So, or it runs Windows nice and fast. It runs Linux, FreeBSD, whatever, and it's just still perfectly compatible with everything that I need to do. It doesn't play games. It was never meant to. But these are an awesome deal. And again, that is, what does it say? Dell Latitude E6430, 6530. I think there's even a 6230, which was a 12-inch one. So hope y'all learned a thing or two from that. Yeah, enjoy.